What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to the Horror Hangout podcast. Been kind of a long time since I've done this one. I'm fully committed to being back on a regular schedule, so you'll see weekly content from the channel. One of the new ideas that I had, I threw it to my friend here, Kenna. She's a coworker of mine, friend of mine now. I've been knowing her for a little over a year. I asked her if she wanted to do like a bi-weekly. I didn't want to do like a weekly thing and make it something crazy, and she was very receptive to the idea. So what's up, Kenna? How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm tired, man. It was a long weekend.
Yeah.
If anybody knows anything about us, we work at Alamo Draft House, so it's a theater, and this weekend was the second or third week of Longlegs, but it was the first weekend of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 42, man. My knees hurt, my back hurts, my ankle hurts. I woke up and I was like, ooh, walking is terribly painful right now, but it's all good.
Yeah, it's a lot of walking.
A lot of walking. Do you make some money?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I do pretty well.
Good money this week. Yeah.
Right. Necessary to have that, make it worth the amount of just steps. I was putting in about 25,000 steps a day. I actually count my steps for health reasons, and so I was looking and I was like, oh my god, I'm actually hitting 25,000 steps, man. It's like 10 miles. But
yeah, I had even more.
Holy crap, seriously?
Yeah, actually, because I keep my phone in my pocket.
Yeah.
So it tracks my steps. Yesterday, let's see. Oh, actually, maybe it wasn't as much as I thought.
Well, anything over 15,000 is a lot of steps. People don't understand how.
Yeah, yesterday was 25.
I mean, that's a ton. I mean, I do it for health reasons, and my goal every day is 9,000. So if I hit 9,000, that's active. So like 25K is almost 3 times that. But well, today we're going to talk about Longlegs. I was going to talk about Deadpool Wolverine. I might do that on a separate video by myself for like 5 or 10 minutes. I do think it's worth talking about. But Longlegs has completely taken over like horror cinema, drama, independent film. It's taken over all of it. So I thought that it was the most, I don't know, appropriate for a long form return to the channel. So how many times have you seen it? Just the once?
Twice.
Twice. Me too. I think it's one of those movies that, I don't know if requires is the right word, but urges multiple viewings. How do you feel about that?
Definitely, just because the second time I watched it, I caught a lot of things I didn't catch the first time. Like everything Nick Cage says the second time around makes sense. And the first time you watch it, it's like nonsense.
Well, it's all relevant. And so I've seen a lot of comments online. And to be very clear, like none of it bothers me. I'm not all upset about it. I don't take it personally. It's to be expected almost. But I see a lot of people comment, man, this movie is trash. And I'm like, you clearly didn't pay attention, or you didn't know what you were in there to watch, which is okay on both ends. You don't have to pay attention, and you don't have to be there as a super fan. I did both. I am a super fan of Nick Cage, and I paid a lot of attention. So it's okay if you didn't like the movie, but it's not trash. It's objectively not a trash film. Like there's no way you can say it's a trash. I guess I did get a little, I'm all like, man, I'm not going to get personal, but fuck you. Like, I'm not going to take it all personal, but then I do. So Oz Perkins directed this movie. Are you familiar with Oz Perkins? I guess so before we even get started, let me shout out a channel. I want to pull it up real quick. Let's see. Mad Morph Movie Club. I watched 2 of his breakdowns, and I sent 2 of his breakdowns to Kenna to watch, or the same ones to Kenna to watch. And so I just want to shout out his channel. I'll put a link in the description of both of his videos. I got a lot of my talking points from his channel. Now this podcast is more of like our thoughts on those talking points. These talking points aren't necessarily things that I came up with. So I want to be very, very clear about that. I'm not trying to steal anything or be ungrateful for somebody else's hard work. So but no, Oz Perkins, I didn't even put that together until like maybe 2 or 3 days after I'd watched it, that Oz Perkins is the son of Anthony Perkins. That
was kind of crazy. I didn't realize that at all.
Right. So Anthony Perkins, for anybody that's not familiar, plays Norman Bates in Psycho 1 and 2. I don't know. I haven't seen 3 and 4. I've only seen the first 2 Psycho movies, but the first one is an all-time classic, probably like a top 20 all-time horror movie. And the second movie I think is wholly underrated. It's a cult classic at this point. But Oz Perkins, Anthony Perkins, was apparently, and this is what I heard on the internet a couple of times. I don't know if this is 100% true, but apparently he was a closeted gay man, which it kind of makes sense by the time he was alive and when all this stuff was going on. But he passed away from like complications due to dealing with AIDS, I guess. And Oz Perkins' mother was on one of the planes that hit one of the World Trade Center towers in the 9/11 attacks. So
also really crazy.
Right. And I say that just to say, like, of course this dude's got some trauma, and of course he would make a movie like this, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's crazy, dude.
It was definitely crazy to hear. I was not expecting that.
No, not even a little. It puts into context the reason that a movie like this would even exist. Because when I first watched it, I was like, that is an odd movie. And there's a lot of little things in it that once I learned about them, it made perfect sense. But upon first watch, kind of going in, I didn't watch any trailers. I think I watched one trailer one time, and I was like, oh, Nick Cage is in this. I don't want to know anything else about it. And so I didn't really know much about it. How when you went and saw the movie the first time, how blind were you to what was fixing to happen?
I mean, I have to see the trailers because I work at Alamo.
True.
I see all of them just by working.
Right.
But I was trying to avoid it because I really don't like watching trailers. I think they ruin the movie for me.
A lot of times they do.
Yeah. But the one that I saw was actually on TikTok, and it was, I don't know if you saw it. It was about how Micah Monroe had her mic set up on her like shirt right here, and they recorded her heartbeat when she saw Nick Cage for the first time, and it was like crazy. Like her heart went.
Really? Yeah. No, I don't know anything about that. I genuinely okay. So a little backstory about me. I have a head injury, and I've got a terrible history of narcotics abuse from when I was younger, right? My memory is really bad. Like I suffered from short-term memory problems that are very legit. And so I typically don't care about spoilers. My point is that I don't mind trailers typically. I don't typically care if you tell me the whole entire movie before I go watch it. I don't usually care. I forget most of it anyways. If I watch a movie 2 and 3 times, I have to do it very quick or I'm going to forget the whole movie. And so this one, I just avoided everything. I had pretty much no idea what I was getting into other than I knew it was a serial killer movie. And I heard that it was being called horror, but wasn't really a horror movie. So when I went into it, I kind of had different expectations than maybe some of the moviegoers that come into Alamo. And I didn't really think, oh, it's a horror movie. It's scary, scary, scary. I just knew Nick Cage, serial killer, maybe don't get ready to be scared out of your pants. And I think that was a very net positive for me. I think that was a net positive for me. So, but yeah, I just started serving at Alamo, so I haven't had to watch as many trailers as you. And I feel like I got really fortunate that this is one that I came into pretty blind. I watched it and was just kind of awestruck. I watched it with 2 of my best friends, and we just kind of left the theater, and they weren't sure how they felt about it. I think Clay was pretty into it. Josh was kind of like, and I was like, hell yes, that was amazing. But then ultimately, we've all 4 of us that typically do his podcast, we've all come around to be very big fans of this film. When you walked out of the theater the first time, what was your thought? What was your feelings?
I was like, I want to watch it again.
Right, yeah. As soon as I left, I was like, I gotta get back in that theater, man.
Yeah, I loved it so much. I was so excited. It was like it exceeded my expectations because I didn't. For the most part, I stayed pretty in the dark about everything. I did. I saw that one ad that I was telling you about where, and every time that they had an ad, they would block out Nick Cage's face because they wanted it to be a surprise. And I think cool. That's what probably drawed a lot of people in to go see it. But it was also kind of their downfall in a way because then people were like, oh, he wasn't that scary. Why'd they block his face out? Like, it wasn't that crazy. Like, I feel like I wasted my time. I'm like, it's not really
Okay.
about that. It's not really about that. Like, I don't really think it. Like, I was still excited to see him. It still freaked me out the first time he comes into frame. I thought the makeup was cool. I just think that the general audience want if I don't know, maybe they had too high of expectations. And I feel like that's when you have too high of expectations going into any movie, that's like not good. Like you want to go in with low
100% agree.
expectations.
100% agree. I think that this movie was not made for those people.
Mhm.
I think this was a movie for like maybe deep cut horror fans, Nick Cage fans,
Mhm.
and cinephiles because and I think that's good though. We need a movie to come out and do banger numbers but not necessarily be received well. That's very important. That used to happen all the time in the 90s because we just went to the movies. That
Mhm.
doesn't happen anymore. You don't have a movie come out now. If it's going to be good, it's because everybody loves it. It's going to be Barbie or Oppenheimer or something like that, right? Whereas a movie like this, they had exceptional promotion.
Yeah.
The marketing for this movie, while I didn't watch it before I seen the film, I have since went back and watched a little bit of it, and it reminded me of the anticipation that was had for Blair Witch. And I know I've
Yeah.
already heard that elsewhere. This isn't my thought. This is a thought that I heard. I thought, man, I agree with that wholeheartedly. It feels like that same kind of urgency. You got to go see this because if you don't, you're going to get spoiled, and you need to know what's happening in this movie because it's crazy. And in all reality, people may walk out of the theater saying, I didn't like Nick Cage's makeup or whatever, and they may not like the film.
Mhm.
But there's a left turn in this movie that is absolutely worth not getting spoiled.
Yeah.
It's a
Definitely.
it's a procedural. It's like a detective film, and then like 40 minutes in, it's like left turn, Satanism, and you're like, yo, what's happening right now? It really does go into a supernatural territory about halfway through the movie,
Mhm.
and I think that's pretty substantial. I think that movies don't do that a lot, and they're not successful when they do try to do stuff like that because of trailers and promotion being more let's show them everything, try to get them excited to see the movie versus let's hide some key details and try to get people to come in out of curiosity.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. No, it definitely reminded me of Blair Witch marketing, just with like the website that they made, everything
oh,
like
I forgot that they did that. They did a website,
that.
didn't they?
Yeah,
That's
this one
crazy.
did just about the previous murders, the previous Longlegs murders. That's what it
Okay.
was about. And then there were like these zip files you could decode and like listen to um like dispatch calls
Dude, that's
from the
amazing.
murders. Yeah, and then I guess it reminded me of Blair Witch because they also had a website when it first came.
Right.
Like
Right.
it was like supposed to be I think it was supposed to be the team's website about like the documentary they were making.
Okay. It's been a long time since I've even looked at that stuff.
Yeah.
I know they had a phone number for this one, didn't they?
People were saying that I didn't see it, but on the website they have an address that you can mail things to and
What?
also an I think it was an email address. I can
I'm gonna try whatever that is. I want to try it. So, like whatever that
should
entails,
we do it
I'm
now
I'm
or
interested in it.
later? Should we do it on the podcast or no?
No, I want to do it later, and then we'll talk about whatever happens at some point in the near future.
Yeah, I kind of want to send something.
I'm 100% interested in that.
Yeah,
So
'cause the address line, like who it's to, says friend of a friend, and then it's the address that they want to send.
honestly, that's terrifying, since I know what
Yeah,
that friend of the friend is.
yeah.
Uh, so this movie was not advertised, I guess, but it was talked about as if it was going to be the next Silence of the Lambs or Seven.
Mhm.
I was like, ooh, I don't like that. I don't want to know that. I was trying so hard to like forget that that was told to me. Did it remind you of either of those movies?
Um, Silence of the Lambs, kind of, just because it's like a young FBI agent. Um, kind of awkward, like she's kind
Right.
of awkward type thing. Um, I don't know. Seven, maybe.
It was too bright for a Seven comparison, in my opinion. Like just like visually, it was not enough. There was no
Yeah.
rain. It was in the daytime.
Yeah, but I think I saw the director saying something about how he was inspired by Seven just
Okay.
because of the killer's reveal and how like anticlimactic it was.
That doesn't surprise me that he was
Yeah.
inspired by it. But you
Yeah.
can be inspired by something and have it honestly not a part of the I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's like making a record. I can be inspired by a James Brown song, but still make a song that is 100% punk rock. Like just because I'm inspired by James Brown doesn't mean that it sounds like him. And so
Yeah.
I did think that it had a little bit of Silence of the Lambs in there, mostly like what you said, the green FBI agent thing. But that's about
Yeah.
where it stopped to me. I think I remember hearing somewhere that the director Oz Perkins had said that he intentionally made it like Silence of the Lambs so that he could then go and make it about like devil worship to catch people off guard, essentially.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty brilliant move, and especially with the times we're living in right now, I feel like we're living through another satanic panic anyways. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole country's kind of gone into a crazy mode, and there's a bunch of conservative people, whereas I don't remember it being this much conservative folks 5-10 years ago. And so
Yeah. Plus, I mean, there's people going around saying that you shouldn't go see this movie because it's satanic and devil worship, and it's like, yeah, that is part. It's a movie though, like it's part of it. But it's a movie, you know, like it's not. I don't know.
I grew up in the church, and I'd be curious as to what those people were thinking about this film. I'm not going to go ask them because I don't care, but
I think it's the same demographic that you were mentioning just now. Because I saw it. Let me see. It was just like a bunch of like hyper conservative Christian people, you know, conspiracy theorists type of thing.
So let's talk a little bit about the actual movie. I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone right now, so I'm pulling up some bullet points. So, okay. I will give a statement that I wrote down, and then we'll discuss kind of how we both feel about it. So at one point, they go into a house where there's been a family taken out. It had been quite a while, apparently. They had been in the home for like a month since they were unalived, right?
Yeah.
I found it funny that the chief guy walks in. He's clearly disgusted by it all. He's covered his face. You could tell that it's like a visceral smell and like feeling in that home. She walks in and it's like no big deal. I don't know if that meant anything, but I watched the movie twice, and both times that stuck out to me a lot. So if anybody's watching this has an opinion on that or an idea of why that might be, or if it doesn't matter at all, please let me know, because I found it odd that she didn't seem affected by what I can only imagine was very obviously a disgusting smell and a sight that was gnarly. Like, it was very graphic visually.
Yeah.
Did you find that funny at all, or is it just me? Am I just making something out of nothing?
No, I noticed it. Maybe part of it is just the fact that like those kind of smells, maybe she was like used to it in a way, just because that her mom had been doing that her whole life. I don't know.
No, but this is why you ask questions like that. Like, you have a different perspective than I do, so I didn't even consider that maybe she had been around that smell a lot because her mom was doing gnarly stuff, and that smell ain't going to just be off of you because you walked out of a house, I don't think.
Yeah. Also, part of it might be because of her own doll that her mom made for her, and like she had that like metal ball thing in there.
Yeah.
And so like the devil was in her.
I think the chief was under the control the whole time too. Like from the jump. And this is pure speculation at this point, but I feel as though everything that he was doing was just egging her on. And I don't think he would have, because he was making decisions like that one, the other lady's like, I don't think she's ready for this. And he's like, I think she is, kind of, right?
Yeah.
A guy that tenured may have been on her side had he not been persuaded to you know, encourage her to go into this house. I mean, let's talk about that first partner of hers.
Oh yeah, that like scared me actually.
I can typically see something like that coming around the corner, and I was not at all expecting this dude's head to just get completely
Yeah, I was
exploded. I'm trying to be careful with my language. I don't want to get like age restricted on the
yeah.
old YouTube. But so she gets out of the so she goes. They have this like FBI meeting at the very beginning of the movie, and they're put off into pairs, and they're sent out to go find this killer. They show up to a house or a block, a neighborhood block, and she has this like intuition, and she's like, "It's that house." And the guy's like, her partner, who's new, they're new partners. He's like, "Sure, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna go knock on the door, my guy." And she's like, "I think we should call this in." And my dude is like, "No," which, in all fairness, in his position, I would have probably been like, "I don't think we should call this in." I mean,
Yeah.
he had a good point, but then he goes and like, you can hear. Okay, so you're watching her. She's like walking up, like looking around, like all sketched out and stuff. And this dude's like, "Doo-ba-doo," knock on the door. "Hey man, Johnny Law here to talk to you about go blam." And it's just like, yeah, man. As the camera cuts from her face of like, I don't know, concern maybe or like intrigue, it like
Yeah.
hard cuts to dude and he's standing in the doorway smiling and it just head goes like pop. It was wild,
Yeah,
man.
that was pretty crazy.
The whole theater audibly went, "Oh!" The first time I watched it. I was like, "Oh man, that was wild." I think I got fortunate. When did you see the movie on opening night?
Um, I think I think so, cause I remember I watched Maxine first, and then I saw that
Ooh,
Longlegs was out, and I was like, oh, I should see that too.
nice, dude. That's a
But
good
then I
double
didn't want to
feature.
get spoiled like working it, so
Dude, check this out. So my first weekend waiting tables was Longlegs, and our boss was being super cool and was like, "This is his crowd," so she put me in Longlegs. So I watched like half of it before I got to watch it, and so like I say I watched half of it. I saw parts of it work in the movie. I was running out of there as fast as I could.
yeah.
It honestly made me more intrigued, and so when I went on a Saturday morning. I
Mhm.
didn't see that, so I got really lucky when that part happens at the beginning of the movie. I
Mhm.
was in the other part of the theater typing in food orders, so I had no idea that even happened. And so on
Yeah.
Saturday morning, I thought I knew what happened in the first like 20 minutes of the movie, and I didn't. So when it happened, it jarred me. I was like, "Oh shit!" I was completely
Yeah.
shocked. I was very surprised by that. Poor
No, yeah,
guy.
it was definitely shocking. Yeah.
So okay, it's established. It has been established that her mom was like an agent of Satan, right?
Mhm.
I found it pretty interesting that she was asking her about her prayers and telling her that they would keep her safe from the devil.
Yeah.
Do you think that she knew she was being controlled, or did she have some kind of intuition, or was she? I feel like she knew she was being controlled, like it was all a thing that she had awareness of,
Mhm.
and that she was, I don't know what the word is, maybe far enough out of range for that Bluetooth signal to be like spotty to where she could be like, "Hey, you need to say your prayers, you need to protect yourself," but she couldn't outright say, "Because I'm doing this," because partly that would ruin the movie, but like in the story, it just wouldn't make a lot of sense for her to be able to tell her everything. Do you
Mhm.
think that was her mom trying to get without excuse me, how do I say this? Trying to get out of range of that and to warn her?
Um, you're talking about the mom, right? Like the
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, she was a really interesting character
She
for
was
sure.
weird.
Yeah, it was definitely she's definitely weird. I think that she's aware because like when she does her first, like I don't know what words I can say, what words I can't, but the first when she's telling Lee the story of like what she does and like it
Okay.
shows her first time and like her getting back in the car afterwards, she's
Oh,
like
that's right.
genuinely distressed about it. And when Longlegs first has her, she's like on the floor, like like he has her on the floor, and so she had to make the decision, like,
That's right.
let me work for him. So I think that she's completely aware of what she's doing, but it's like made her crazy. Like she's not all the way there anymore just because of what
I like
she's
that.
seen.
I
That's what
like
I
that.
think. Just because like her mom was on my radar the first time we hear her voice on the phone, because I was like, this woman, like, she sounds coherent, but like weird. Like there's something weird about her, and I didn't know
Yeah,
if
she
that
does
was,
sound.
but I didn't know if it was just like her mom is just kind of weird. You know, I didn't really think too much of it. I was just like, she sounds kind of like spacey, and
That's a good descriptive word.
yeah, yeah,
I was definitely aware of that when I heard her talk for the first time. I
yeah,
don't know if I thought that it was because of anything, but I was definitely under the impression that she was kind of a kooky person. And when it's
yeah,
revealed that she is working for Longlegs, I guess sort of for Satan. I don't really know how to just to word that, but when she's in
yeah.
that group of people, right? I'm under the impression that she was trying to save Lee Harker, save her daughter from future distress and predicaments, and so I think that was her probably trying to get out of range to some degree of the
Mhm.
situation. But there was probably like a caveat put in there, like, hey, if you tell her this and you ruin what we're trying to do here, I'm gonna probably explode you, like that movie
Yeah,
Rubber, the tire that explodes. Have you seen that?
I don't think so.
Oh man, my daughter loves that movie. I'll have to let you, dude. You have to watch that movie. Anybody that's on here, you've seen the movie Rubber, you'll know what I'm talking about. Uh, but so this movie is incredibly, and I would think deliberately slow paced.
Hmm.
I think that made me personally fairly uncomfortable. I think it was an effective, I don't know, choice. I think that they deliberately did all that. I mean, I would be pretty surprised to find out that they didn't intentionally make it a slow paced movie because it's slow but deliberate. The sound design in this movie is incredible.
Hmm.
I think that's probably the best part of the film, in my opinion, is the sound design because there's all these little noises that if you're not paying attention, you won't even notice them. But if you go back in on a second or third watch, because I also worked Longlegs twice on Sunday yesterday. No, I'm sorry, Saturday. Excuse me, Saturday. So
Hmm.
I during my first go around, it was a real slow. There was like 25 people in there. So when I got done giving everybody their meal, I just sat down and watched like probably 45 minutes of it, like uninterrupted. And so I was doing that specifically to listen to the sound design because I knew that I liked what I had heard in the first couple of watches, but I hadn't been able to focus exclusively on that. And there's a bunch of different weird little ambient noises and like just creaks and noises and things that they had to have been put in this movie. There was no way it was natural. And so,
Yeah, no, I actually know what you're talking about. Like when it's like when she goes home for the first time after, I don't know, like she was just
oh,
at,
when she's in the home by herself?
and then there's like a weird creak behind her when she's like looking at the birthday card. I don't even know what it was. Like she was looking at something on her desk and there's a creak behind her and then she just like kind of looks and then like goes back to what she's doing. I'm like, if I heard that, I'd be like scared. Like I don't know why she didn't
Well,
look.
no, because okay, so that I am certain that was a creative choice by the director to have her hear a noise, look up, think about it, and all of us are going, dude, go investigate that. And so instead of her doing that, she goes back to what she's doing because then you're going, and
Yeah,
so a slow paced movie suddenly has a lot of high tension.
yeah, but it kind of makes sense that she does that because if Longlegs was living under her house the whole time, then like she's
Bro,
used to hearing those noises. Like that's
what
not
a
weird.
revelation.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep talking over you. I'm just like
No, no,
so
it's okay.
I'm
I'm
so
just saying
excited.
maybe that's what it is. I'm not even sure if that's what it is, but it would make sense.
Well, that was a revelation, man. When it was like revealed that she was living on top of Longlegs, essentially, I was like, "What?" I was like, "My dude was living in her house." That gave me the literal heebie-jeebies, dude. I was like, "Yo, what the f, dude?"
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
not comfortable.
that's crazy. And yeah, I mean there's like little things that Longlegs says that I think are like really cool to unpack watching it the second time, like
Oh yeah.
in the interrogation mostly.
Oh yeah, lots of stuff in there.
Like because like he mentions like, oh, when you went to law enforcement, you were 20 and we had the biggest laugh. It's like he's recalling it like as if they're close, like him and her.
They
like
were.
if he
Dude,
knows
they
her.
were.
Because they were, yeah. He was watching her the whole time, so he knows everything.
Dude, when I heard that, I don't remember if it was in that other dude's video or not, but when I heard about that, and then I watched it again, that part, I literally was like, ugh, like, oh
Yeah.
man. Because if you're not paying much attention, none of this stuff makes any difference to you. None of it matters. It's not substantial. But if you're super into this movie, all of this stuff is substantial. All of it is relevant.
Literally everything. It's another thing I like about it. It's like the same thing that I like about the movie Signs by M. Night Shyamalan. Like
Let's go, Signs.
That's one of my favorite movies. Like every piece of dialogue matters. Like every single thing matters. It's not one of those movies just full of like filler dialogue to get you to the scary stuff. Like it's an actual story. And I have a theory that like the people who didn't like it probably just weren't paying attention. Honestly,
Almost
they probably
certainly
were there for a scare. People have this idea that scary movies don't have any substance. They aren't, a worthy contender with like a drama or something. But this one did have a lot of story, and I think that might have pissed people off who were just looking to get scared. But there's a really good story in there too.
Well, people are I don't typically like quote unquote elevated horror, but that's exactly what Longlegs is. It's elevated horror. It is an onion. Every time you peel back a layer, there's another one waiting for you. You're gonna have to go through 100 layers to get to the center of this story and figure out what's going on. I mean, it's incredible. I love it. I mean, I could probably talk about this movie for like 2.5 more hours. It wouldn't get boring. I'm excited about everything that happened in it. It's incredible. There's plenty of more to talk about. So let's move on to another topic. So there's not a lot of Nick Cage in this movie, which I think is probably a smart move. At one point, he goes into this hardware store to get, I guess, supplies or whatever, and that girl is just not having it. She's not having it at all. When he goes in there and he starts talking to the girl, and she goes, "Daddy, that gross guy's here again." Dude, he looked genuinely hurt by that. Did you notice that his facial expression changes like dramatically?
I didn't notice that. I didn't really notice that. I just noticed.
He looks like he's fixing to start crying.
Are you talking about in the car?
No. When he's standing in the hardware store, it shows his face from like a side view, and it shows his silhouette and then her at the counter. And then he says something to her, and then it pans around to her. She yells for her dad. Then it goes back to his profile.
Well, that makes sense.
He goes from like this,
to
like this.
I get it, because like the whole plastic surgery thing. Like
I think that he's under control, and he's not even. He's probably, and he's and yes, we're gonna get into that in a few minutes as well.
So I was gonna say that probably stems from like his insecurity about his looks, and like how he wanted to look beautiful, but now he looks like this.
Meanwhile, he's being like controlled into going into these places and being in public and talking to these people that I don't know he necessarily wanted to, but I don't know. I just felt kind of some kind of compassion and empathy. Like, I know he's doing this, but like. I don't know, man. It's incredible that you can feel for people that are like, it's complex.
I mean, it's implied that he had a life before he started doing this,
right?
And like, there's like theories that he got looped into all this the same way Lee's mom did, which was like against their will, backed into a corner type of thing. So it might be because of that, and he's just turned into a strange guy over the years because of it, just like Lee's mom. So maybe that has something to do with it. Also, the girl in the store, I'm pretty sure it's the director's daughter.
Oh, like real life?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh no, I am not putting my kid in a movie like this.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully her role was small, but yeah.
So, was there any part of this movie that you just didn't really care for much? Because there's only one part in the entire movie that I was like, I wish they could fix that or change it, I guess is the right word.
I mean, there's one part that I don't understand that maybe...
Which is what?
The camera family mom.
The what?
The camera family that was like Kiernan Shipka, whatever her name is. Like, do you remember her cameo?
No.
The girl with the short hair that...
Oh, okay. So that's the one girl. That's the one part I didn't like. Is that her talking? I hated it. Her dialogue was bad. Her acting was bad.
The way I mean, I
surely would do that. It's like, oh, you sound ridiculous.
I think it was because she never learned how to speak properly or something, because she had been like locked up for so long. But
fine, make it make sense.
But what I didn't understand was like the flashback of her family, and the mom is acting all weird, like rubbing a knife up against her. I'm like, what does that mean? Is that just there to like look weird, or is there a purpose for that? Because it kind of just looked weird.
Okay, I would like to explore that later then, because I didn't see that, and I don't even remember that. I vaguely remember that in the movie, but I don't remember I don't remember thinking about it much, honestly. Her talking drove me nuts, but you might be right. It might have been because she was put into that trance for all those years, and then yeah,
because her doll was found like intact underneath the floorboards. That girl.
Correct. Yeah. And then when it was found, she came out of her catatonic state, right?
Yeah, because like Lee also had her doll the whole time, and she's like kind of weird too. But like
that is true.
Farther away from it, so I don't know.
That is true. Earlier you mentioned that they said about, when you went into law enforcement, we both laughed about it.
Yeah.
I wrote down on here, I just got to this part of my notes where I missed that both times. Like
really?
I didn't catch that both times. I only knew about that after I heard about it in that breakdown. And so when I was watching it at the theater when I was working, I made sure to go sit in there for a minute when I knew that was coming up. That was very creepy. I just wanted to point out that I did miss that, and it was incredibly creepy once I was aware of it.
Because the way he like reflects on it is like the most human you ever see him.
Right. Well, that whole interrogation scene is pretty incredible, I thought.
It was really good.
Well, at one point he's in there and he's singing happy birthday to Lee Harker. He starts crying. I think that was him being aware of the situation and not wanting to be there and having no way to get out of it. And maybe he saw like the end coming, like his end was inevitable. I mean, all of our ends is inevitable, right? But his was like quickly approaching. And I think that he was singing to her and he just thought, oh shit, this is it. I'm done. And it might have been relief. I don't actually know, but it looked to me like sorrow.
I mean, I think he knew it was the end because like he knew how everything was gonna go from the start.
That's crazy.
Like, he kind of has, like he has the same intuition that Lee has, which is probably stems from the devil. Like the devil is probably talking about them. But yeah, like the whole thing of him getting caught was so interesting. Just like them finding him at a bus stop too.
Right, because he had a car.
That was so intentional. That was so intentional because he has a car. He had all of his bags packed. He was at the train. He was at the bus stop, and so that could either mean a couple things. That could mean like, from the director's perspective, like it was like intentional. Like, okay, it's we're moving on. Like he's not doing the same thing.
Okay.
Like unprecedented territory. We're moving on. He's going somewhere else that he hasn't been before. So and it can also be like, maybe he knew he was gonna get caught.
Okay.
He was like, let me be out in the open.
Right. That was kind of like 7. That was like 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess there is a little bit of 7 in this movie. It's so visually different that it was hard for me to put those two together personally.
That scene is actually what the director said he drew inspiration from 7. Just like how Longlegs was caught so easily. It's like the same vibe.
Like he caught himself, kind of.
Yeah, it's like the same vibe of the killer reveal in 7. How it was like, oh, it's just this guy.
That's
Oh,
true.
they just caught him that fast, like in Longlegs, I guess.
Damn, Seven's a good movie. I need to rewatch that.
Me too. It's been a really long time.
You know what? We should watch that and do a comparison maybe one of these days here soon. We've already established that our next film is going to be the original Crow in 2 weeks. I am 100% still wanting to do that, but I
Yeah.
think maybe doing a seven and then a Silence of the Lambs rewatch and then comparing them to Longlegs could be fun, just as a conversation.
Yeah. I love Silence of the Lambs.
Me too. Those are both fantastic movies. Obviously, right? It'd be kind of weird if I was like, "And that movie's all right." Silence is okay. I guess it was like a 6.5 out of 10. Dude, so not to take us completely out of the dark here, but whenever he was sitting at the bus station, every time I saw that, all I could think about was that movie Trains, Planes, and Automobiles with John Candy.
How?
It just looked like it. It also reminded me of Little Nicky. I don't
know who that is.
It's an Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad.
I don't know why, but every time I saw it, I was just like, huh, that looks like Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. But so at a few points in the movie, Nick Cage is talking and his voice abruptly changes. Did you notice that? Like his whole voice changes. Like the way he's talking completely changes.
Yeah, I do, because he kind of has this like songy voice most of the time where he's like trying to be nice to Lee or whatever, like at the very beginning of the movie and like at the beginning of the interrogation, like he's genuinely excited to see her again.
Right.
But then it turns dark and he starts like spazzing out and like gets really intense. It's interesting.
Well, no, so that's what I was talking about. So for the majority of his screen time, he's talking like this, and he's like kind of got this high inflection in his voice, and he's talking kind of almost feminine.
Yeah.
The whole movie is very androgynous, and that was all by design too, from what I understand. But all of a sudden, when he's in the interrogation, he kind of like leans his head forward, and he kind of, instead of talking like with his face up, looking at the camera or looking at the audience or whatever, or looking at the people in the room, his shoulders begin to be slumped, his head's kind of down, and then he looks up like through his hair almost, and his voice changes. And I was wondering if that was like Satan speaking through him.
Yeah, it could be that, or he just doesn't really like talking about his work. Or no, actually, I don't think that's true. That's true, because he said the work we were doing was immaculate. So I think I don't know what that means.
Right, I don't know either. It's incredibly, it's dense, you know. It just makes me want to watch it more. It makes me want to like do more research, read more interviews, listen to more breakdowns. I've already listened to probably 4 different channels worth of breakdowns, and none of them were less than half an hour. So
yeah,
I've spent a fair amount of time with this film. So okay, let's talk about Cuckoo first. I want to do Cuckoo, and then I want to do like the dolls and the black balls and the smoke and stuff, because those are very important things. The Cuckoo thing I found incredibly weird, and once it was explained to me, I literally smiled and like almost clapped. I was like, that is awesome.
That was pretty crazy, honestly.
I love why they did that, because okay, so for anybody that's not familiar with what that could be, is that there's a bird called the cuckoo bird. And apparently they take over other birds' nests and try to make those birds do their bidding, essentially, right?
Yeah.
And so he was saying cuckoo because that's literally what he was doing, is he was putting his egg in somebody else's nest and then controlling that person. I mean,
yep.
I don't typically catch like super intricate things in movies. I don't watch movies the same way that my friends do. That's brilliant, and it makes me appreciate it so much. I think that stuff like that, it's rare, and I really appreciated it. Did you have any ideas what that meant before you found out through another breakdown?
No, I thought he was just being weird.
Being weird, right?
I love it. Weird. Or like just, I don't know, maybe trying to like relate to her, and he's just like so out of touch that. I don't know. Like, I don't really.
I mean, that's the thing, is that when I first saw it, I thought that it didn't have any meaning and that they were just being weird. And to find out that that's not even close to the truth is awesome. I love when there's these little details in a movie that you think are just maybe some goofy writing. Turns out it was planned down to the tiniest of detail. I think that's amazing. So that also kind of leads me to the next point, is the dolls and the black ball in the doll and the smoke coming from the doll. I was confused by most of it. I assumed it was all voodoo doll related. Turns out that's the truth. It's all based on a voodoo doll theory or practice or whatever.
Yeah.
But the smoke coming from the black ball is actually only for the theater audience and not for the people in the movie. That's another thing that blew my mind.
Oh, yeah. That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, like they don't see that at all. We do.
It makes sense because when they're doing the, like, quote-unquote autopsy of the doll, the guy, like I don't know what they're called actually right now.
The head honcho dude?
The forensic pathologist, I guess.
Oh, that guy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, you're not going to find there's nothing in there. You're not going to find your answer.
Right.
All. But then it's like we find out there is something in there. But
well, except that there's not. There's something in there to us, but it's not to them. To them, it's just an empty ball. It's the essence of Satan, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Essence of Satan. There's going to be a perfume called that.
Next Halloween.
Oh, dude, probably next week. It's gonna be promoted by that. What's that guy's name? I think he's a gay dude. He's a singer, and he went super devil with his like live show last year, and he got Sam something or other. Oh, damn it, he's a pop artist.
I was gonna say like Lil Nas X, but I don't
or
know.
that's actually that might happen. My joke fell flat because I couldn't remember the dude's name. It was Sam something or other, but it would be.
Nah, I don't know.
think that I think it is Sam Smith. Sam King is a singer for a punk band. Who cares? It's not funny anymore because I fucked that up. So, but I do think it's crazy that, like, because when I saw the movie, I didn't understand the little like black smoke. So it made more sense to me when I found out that it wasn't anything in the like that the characters in the movie didn't actually see that. That made more sense to me.
What do you think that it meant when her mom shot her own doll? Like shot her daughter's doll, I should say.
I think that she was taking the leverage back, making her own decision, thinking for herself. And I think we were being shown that she had the power to do that the whole time. And that she just didn't know it.
Like her mom?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or that, I could be completely wrong, but it seemed to me like a power move.
Yeah, I just was like, I was trying to figure out if her mom was doing that to like save her, or like what it could possibly mean. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm still a little iffy on that.
Yeah, I'm definitely not concrete on my opinion on it. That's just how I felt.
It almost seemed like it like separate, like she like got like something separated, because like it made her pass out and her head hurt afterwards. I just like don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But then she ended up being I guess her mom had moved her down to Longlegs' room because she woke up in his bed.
Ugh.
I'm just like, I don't know.
Waking up in anybody else's bed is gross, but specifically
and it makes you wonder why.
Person. Yeah, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. Anybody that's watching this is probably there's gonna be somebody that has some answers. I'm very excited about the comment section of this video.
Because I do have some questions about it.
Oh, I've still got lots of questions. I should have written all my questions down, honestly, but there's plenty of time for a conversation on this movie. I think once it's been out for 1 year, I might even revisit it and do another conversation about it. I think this is going to be one that sits with me for a long time. I'm going to probably watch this movie a lot, I would think.
Yeah, I just genuinely like it.
I'm excited for the special features on this one, and that's not something that I'm often even interested in.
Yeah, I would get the DVD or whatever whenever they release it, because I guess Nick Cage has like a 25-minute
Yup.
uncut performance of singing Happy Birthday and amongst other things in the
That's literally what was on my page for the next bullet point, is that when they tell them, oh, he goes on like this for a long time, when he's in there being crazy, and the guy's like, well, how long? And they go, like 24 extra minutes. They said that number because they actually have 24 more minutes of him doing that stuff. So yeah, I assume there's going to be a lot of that stuff on the bonus features. And if not, I would love to ask why, because it absolutely should. And I think that I'm a little worried that they're going to release a Blu-ray with some bonus features, and then like 3 months down the road they're going to release like a 2-disc set with like a bunch of bonus features. And I'm not patient enough to wait to find out. So as soon as they release this thing, I'm going to buy it. And but I mean, this is how they get folks like me to spend extra money. I'm not even mad, dude. I want them to make more of these movies.
Yeah.
I will say that Nick Cage has said publicly that he's not going to play a serial killer again because he doesn't like violence. And I think that's I like that. I don't want Longlegs 2 with Nick Cage. I would like a Longlegs, comma, or colon, you know, the blank blank files or whatever, you know, like something that has to do with this world and that idea, but not that character, or something a Longlegs tale or something, you know. I don't want it to be associated with Nick Cage.
Yeah, where it's like a different state, even a different country, like that one video was saying, where it's like seeing how the devil works through other people.
Yep. Yeah, do it in like Mexico. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with Mexican like lore and
yeah,
like,
because it's very yeah, it would work with a lot of their culture, I think.
It's La Llorona, Longlegs.
No, it would just be like, it would still be the devil, honestly, but it would. I think, yeah, they could do a lot with that.
As long as it's got a chupacabra, I'm in. I don't really care how it gets there; it just has to have a chupacabra. So let's talk for a minute about his physical appearance. It's something that has been a topic of conversation for a long time. I don't know if "a long time" is the right word. It comes up a lot in conversation about this movie. The prosthetics were perfect in my opinion. It didn't even look like Nick Cage. No, it barely sounded like him. When he was singing in the car, going all crazy, that's when it was like, oh, that's Nick Cage. Other than that, you kind of really can't tell. I like that this was intentional from Oz Perkins, writer-director of the film. He went with a look from, what was it? Hold on, I think I wrote it down. Bob Dylan did a Rolling Thunder review tour where he looked kind of like that. He had this white makeup on, and that's what the director says that he was going for. Nick Cage cites his mom and her like nighttime cold cream for her face, like her face mask, scaring him as a kid. I tend to believe the other dude that was breaking this movie down, and I think it probably was the director's ultimate, like he was the thought of that. He came up with that idea. But I also think that Nick Cage probably pulled from his mom as a reference and as what's the word? Inspiration for the character. Because if I was to do a movie, if they were want me to do any kind of like, I hate to say it like this, dude, R.I.P. dad, but like deadbeat dad, I would probably pull from the behavior of my father. If they wanted me to be some ultra conservative, hardline Christian type, I would pull from my mom's behavior. So I don't doubt at all that Nick Cage drew inspiration from his mom.
Yeah.
But physically, I can't imagine that it was his idea. It is almost certainly something that the director came up with.
Yeah, I think so too. And like the white face stood out to me the most, actually, like from his appearance when we first saw him, because I was like, they make it very obvious that his hands are not the same color. Like he's putting that on his face intentionally.
Right.
And I was like trying to figure out what that meant. I was like, is that like sunscreen? Like he doesn't go out in the sun very much, so he needs it, but like why wouldn't he put it anywhere else? I was trying to figure out what that meant, but the video that we watched makes sense, where it was like he's just trying to cover up what he looks like because of all
Yeah,
the
a bunch of botched
surgery.
plastic surgery. See, you know what he reminded me of immediately was, excuse me, pardon me, an aging supermodel mixed with like one of the guys from Kiss. That's what specifically Ace Frehley, the one with the star.
Yeah.
He has the most white on his face. It felt to me like a combination of an aging supermodel and Ace Frehley specifically, which would make sense because Kiss was not necessarily glam rock, but very close. They were like a rock and roll band from that era. Typically, I would assume they would be considered glam rock to a certain degree at least. So I thought that that comparison made sense. Because I thought it immediately, like as soon as he came on screen, I was like, oh yeah, this dude has been through the ringer physically.
Yeah, and like with the surgery part, what stood out to, like when I first saw him, I was like, or not first saw him, but when you first see his face for real, which I'm pretty sure is when he's at the bus stop, or like that's one of the.
That was the first, like lengthy image of him.
Clearly, like in the sun, I was like, yeah, he had a nose job. I could just tell by the way it looked. Like when people get nose jobs, they often want like a really straight, like nose bridge.
Yeah.
It was like, extremely straight. It didn't look natural, and I was like, okay.
And his chin was like super sculpted,
dimpled. And it looks like he's all puffy from all the filler and whatever.
Dude, what if he was like 42 in this movie, my age, but he looked like that? His clothing was so weird. He looked like a ghost.
Yeah.
Like maybe he was like the muted color palette on him was it had to be intentional because everything else was fairly, now it might have been a muted color, but it was colorful. The little girl's jacket was bright orange. There was color everywhere except with him. He kind of blended in the backgrounds really well, which I guess was probably, intentional as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Dude.
I love the songs he sings. I love them. Like you know what I'm talking about?
When he's like in his car?
Well, that, but mostly when he meets her mom for the first time and she's like, what are you doing at my house? And then it's like just his nose and his mouth again. It's like a really popular meme right now. People memed it, but he like does this weird like hand thing and then starts singing because she had asked like, what are you doing here? What do you want? Why are you talking to my kid?
He's like,
and he starts singing and people thought that was really funny, but like it makes sense. Like he's saying, I think the lyrics are, let me in now and it could be nice. Make me come back, not once, not twice, but as many times as I like, or something.
Many times as I like. Yeah. Okay. Now I remember. Yeah, dude. Dude. They said that there's a whole ass song that he recorded as a rock star for this movie. I have to hear that. Crazy. I
wonder if that was part of it, or if he also kind of answered her question through the song, like
right.
A little bit.
I feel like he's a very sympathetic character in this movie because he was just this aging rock star that didn't make it, and I'm like, that sucks. And then he got taken over by the freaking devil. Like, come on, man! Like this poor guy.
How vulnerable he was, I guess, in that moment. And that Lee's mom calls him a doll maker. So I wonder when he started doing that.
Well, he is a doll maker. He made all those dolls.
Yeah,
like he's a doll maker that failed as a musician.
Okay, so that's like his second career.
Yeah, he probably did that for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And I think that the devil saw that and was like, hey, here's an opportunity for me to take this woman who I want to control. I'll do it through this guy. I'll have him bring her this gift. In the 70s, it probably wasn't that weird to have I guess it was based in the 90s, huh? It looks very 70s. That's a good point. It's based in I don't know, man. There's still so many questions for this movie. I do want to make a point to discuss the year this movie was based in, actually, because it was a point that the other guy broke down, and I thought it was so funny that the director says that he based it in 93, but originally it was based in 1992. The reason he changed it was because in the 90s, in all the FBI headquarters rooms, they had a picture of the sitting president, and he didn't want to put a picture of George Bush in his movie. He said, He didn't like Bill Clinton either, but at least it wasn't George Bush. And I think that's weird because, like, if you didn't like Bill Clinton either, why do you care? Just put it in the year that you want to put it in. It just seems petty to me. But
it was kind of funny though.
I did think it was interesting. I did laugh like audibly when it first goes to the room and it was Bill Clinton in that big ass picture. I literally was like, "Oh, what?" But it did tell you where you were though.
Yeah, because people were saying like, why did they keep showing that picture? And I'm like, that was like the biggest piece of information to tell you the time, like
right.
Right.
That's exactly that. You're exactly right. It was the biggest tell of what the era it was, what year it was, and where they were, like as far as like in the city, like they were in the FBI room. That's how you knew that, because that's where that picture would have been hung. Yo, that was a whole hour, dude. That went by so fast.
I know.
Look, man, there's many things that I missed or just don't understand about this movie. So,
we'll have to revisit it.
Yeah, well, I think the movie has a lot of rewatchability.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I mean, like I said, there were things that I caught the second time that I didn't understand the first time. But like anytime I'm watching a movie that's like a mystery, I'm always trying to figure out the answer the whole time. And I think that I was like trying to overanalyze what he was saying in the interrogations, or just like anything he ever said. I was like, what does he mean by that? And it just truly doesn't make sense until you watch the whole thing through. And then you're like, okay, Crimson or Clover, I get it. Like, live or die, you know, like type of thing.
I mean, I think that's one of the brilliant things about this movie is that you can watch it 3 times and still have questions. You can watch it a 4th time and still want to watch it a 5th. I think that's incredible. All of my friends, they're all talking about, I need to sit down and I need to sit down and watch Longlegs again. And I'm like, yeah, how many times have you seen it? Most of them are saying 1, but a couple of them have already said 2 and still want to go see it again. I've seen it twice and worked it 3 times, still want to see it again. So I think that in itself is telling. Yeah, for everybody that's watching this video, I really appreciate your time. Kenna and I will get on a pretty good report here really quick, I'm sure, and have a little bit of, I don't know, we'll have our own banter. And I apologize if I was talking over her. I was really excited to A, talk to Kenna. She's becoming a pretty good friend of mine, and B, to talk about this movie. So I just got a little overexcited, and I apologize if I talked over you. I was actually trying not to. So
I didn't feel talked over. That's okay.
Okay, cool. Well, I just wanted to make sure and clarify that I was trying not to, so I apologize if I did. But if you have any thoughts or opinions on this movie or other movies you want us to watch, there's no, like, we don't have any kind of, it's whatever. As long as it's horror related to any degree at all, it can go on this channel. And that means like exploitation, nunsploitation, blaxploitation. It don't matter to me. I like all that stuff. Grindhouse movies, Asian movies, Mexican stuff that's been pretty big the last few years. A lot of Thai movies have come out that are really good. So whatever, man. If you want us to watch it, unless Kenna just flat out has no interest in it, I'm down for whatever. So let us know. And also, if you want to hear from my son, who's 11 and a half, he is watching all these for the first time. So it's really cool to get a first time perspective from a lot of these movies. And we'll be talking about Black Christmas, 1974, I think, and then also like 2009. We're going to compare those two because the Terrifier 3 movie is going to be a Christmas movie, and both of us are very excited about that. How pumped are you for that movie, Kenna?
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
You know I love Terrifier.
That's one of the first things we bonded over.
It was, yeah.
Me and you, we figured out we both liked Terrifier, and that's how we became friends. Boom, Terrifier, let's go. And then last year, almost a year ago exactly, we did a Terrifier, All Hallows Eve video, and then completely randomly, Bricken and I did an All Hallows Eve video, and it's almost a year apart, and it's the return of the channel. It's just so weird how it all kind of came together. I feel like it's very appropriate that I bring the channel back to life and see if we can grow this community a little bit more. I find that now I think I'm going to enjoy it more now. I was getting really stressed out last year, and it was just it was time to pump the brakes a little bit, and I've come into my own as a creator, so I'm pretty excited to move forward. But do you have any more thoughts on Longlegs, Kenna?
Everyone should go watch it.
Dude, for real. Like, that's my only thought. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you have seen it, go see it again. Pump some money into this movie so that we can get more movies like it. If this movie makes a lot of money, even if it's not widely accepted as a great film, if you give a creator that took some chances, like a reason and evidence that they can do it again, then they will. Because I don't even care if I don't like the next movie made by these people. I'm still going to go pay to see it, and I'm still going to get on here and talk about it and promote it, whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
And so I just want these people that are making movies that I love to be able to make additional art so that I can watch it and maybe like it too.
Yeah. I mean, this director's already made other movies I like.
What else has he done?
Do you know that movie Secretary with Maggie Gyllenhaal?
Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me look at the cover of that one real quick.
It's kind of a crazy cover, but yeah.
Is it? Wait, does she get done super dirty? No, wait.
Kind of.
No, this is an old movie from like 2002. Okay, I have no idea what this is then.
It's like not anything
Well,
at all like he's doing now, but
it says a different person's name on there.
As the director?
Yeah, it says it's directed by Steve Shainberg.
I think he did something with it because it's on his IMDb.
Is it? Okay, let's see. Let's look up Oz Perkins movies.
Oh, maybe he was just in it. Because he used he used to be an actor. Like he was in Legally Blonde and stuff too.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I might have gotten him. Yeah, he like was an actor and Secretary. Never mind. I don't know why I thought he made that.
That's okay. It looks like he did Black Coat's Daughter, Thing, and Gretel and Hansel, which was really creepy. It was kind of predictable, but it was creepy.
I didn't see that one.
It's pretty good. I wouldn't call it like an A-list or A+ movie, but it was probably like a solid B. It was
I heard the Black Coat's Daughter is good.
I was incredibly bored by that movie, but everybody else likes it, so I need to probably rewatch that one.
Maybe after watching this, you'll like it more.
You know what? That's a real thing though.
Yeah.
Like that's real. Have you seen the trailer for the new Hellboy movie?
There's another one.
Dude, go watch the trailer for that.
Is it like the original Hellboy that they're adding on to, or is it like the?
No, it's like it's a whole new thing, and it's based on the first comic books by Mike Magnolia. Apparently, I just don't like the actor. He doesn't look anything like Hellboy to me.
Because they tried to redo it in like 2019.
I loved that one personally. It was it was so bad. I loved it.
But I love the originals like so much. I used to watch those as a kid. Like I loved that. It's like
I like those movies, but they're not good Hellboy movies. I'm a fan of the comic. Like
if you're a comic fan, I'm sure.
Yeah, so like the 2019 or whatever year it came out, 2021, whatever. That one was more accurate to the comics. People just didn't like the movie. The other movies are superior movies, but they're not accurate to the comic, in my opinion. They don't feel or sound like Hellboy to me. But they're beautiful movies, and I do like them a lot. I am a big Ron Perlman fan.
Yeah.
Oh, Guillermo del Toro is a pretty freaking good director as well. Although I am a 50-50 guy with his movies because I just don't like this.
Sometimes I don't like them.
They're too gothic and slow for me typically, but they're objectively well made.
Too slow for me.
Dude, Pan's Labyrinth was the biggest letdown.
I was like excited to watch it because there's cool imagery in it, but I don't know. I was just kind of like, I'm kind of bored, unfortunately.
That was one of the first like horror type movies that my wife ever watched, and we went to Alamo Drafthouse to see it, and she was all excited because she knew the director and was all just pumped for this movie, and we both left the theater like that was it, like that was super not what we were expecting. So whatever though, man, he's a very good director, like objectively. So
yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well. Thank you for hanging out. A couple weeks from now, do it again on a Monday, you think? That'll work, man. Awesome, man. Well, thanks, guys, for hanging out with us for a little while. We appreciate it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, help us grow the community, and come back in 2 weeks for The Crow with Brandon Lee. And then next week, I'll be doing a Black Christmas versus Black Christmas comparison in preparation for Terrifier 3 being a Christmas movie this year. So, awesome, man. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Peace.